Greetings, Loramasters. Tonight our chronicle covers the complex, often baffling world of courtship and marriage in the Fourth Era. Picture the scene. The Dragonborn, savior of the world, wielder of the Thuum, has just returned from slaying Alduin. Their armor is caked in ash and sovereign tears. They are weary. They return to one of Skyrim's 9 holds, seeking not just a place to store their ridiculously large collection of cheese wheels and stolen sweet rolls, but companionship. Let's be honest, you probably wouldn't survive a trip to Cold Harbor without some serious enchanted gear, but finding a decent spouse in Tamriel might be the real endgame boss. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Go ahead and post your location and what time it is where you are. It's always fascinating to see where the histories of Nirn are being heard. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Our journey, and this ranking, begins not with a whisper, but with a sneer. The Dragonborn, perhaps lonely, perhaps simply curious about the benefits of matrimony, that sweet 15% boost to skill learning while sleeping, slips the amulet of Mara over their head. The enchanted pendant, blessed by the mother goddess of love, glows faintly, announcing to the world that this battle-hardened, dragon soul-devouring warrior is, deep down, available. They push open the ancient heavy doors of Jorvus, cut a maid hall of the companions in Whiterun. The air inside is thick, with the smell of old wood, spilled ale, and roasting meat. And it is here, near the training yard, that they encounter the absolute bottom of our list. Rank 15, Nada Stonearm. Nada is, to put it mildly, aggressively unpleasant. She is the first person the Dragonborn meets who isn't impressed by their potential, their destiny, or even their basic existence. When the Dragonborn is just a whelp, newly arrived and seeking to join the legendary guild, Nada greets them with undisguised contempt. A new whelp, eh? She scoffs. Here to carry my shield. Her voice is a file, sharpening itself on her own disdain, even as the Dragonborn proves their worth, slaying giants and retrieving fragments of Wuthrad. Nada's attitude remains frozen. She is, as her name implies, a wall of stone, and just as warm. She is one of the trainers for the companions, specializing in the block skill, but even her training is delivered with a grudge. You'd better be worth the trouble, she snaps, taking the gold. It's a transaction devoid of mentorship. This is of course a core in-game fact. The companions of Jorvaskr are the premier warriors guild, tracing their lineage back to Ysgramor and the 500 companions who first drove the elves from the province. They value strength, honor, and brotherhood above all. And then there's Nijada. She seems to have missed the memo on the brotherhood part, or sisterhood in this case. She embodies the toxic side of a warrior culture, the gatekeeping, the hazing, the relentless belief that the new generation is inherently weaker. So the Dragonborn, now the harbinger of the companions, leader of the entire guild, survivor of the werewolf's blood ritual, and slayer of the Glenmoral witches, approaches her. The amulet of Mara is pulsing. Ysolda, who is still employed, despite her appalling attitude toward her new boss, looks up, and inexplicably, the dialogue option appears. Interested in me, are you? The Dragonborn, perhaps as a joke, perhaps out of a deep-seated need to be liked by those who hate them, asks the question, and Nada accepts. This is where the true mystery begins.
Why?
Why would the Dragonborn do this? And why would she say yes? The fan community has debated this for years. The most common theory is that Nada is not malicious, but pathologically insecure. She is surrounded by legends. Athis is a Dunmer weapons master. Torvar is a classic, mead-swilling Nord. Rhea is eager, if simple. And then there's the Circle, Alala, Vilkas, and Farkas, demigods of combat, inheritors of the beast blood. Nada is just Nada. She has no special lineage, She has no unique skills beyond being passable with a shield. Her entire identity is built on being tough, and the Dragonborn's arrival threatens that. The whelp succeeds where she has stalled. Her contempt, the theory goes, is a shield far stronger than the one she carries. Her agreeing to marry the Harbinger isn't love. It's the most aggressive form of social climbing in Skyrim. She attaches herself to the new center of power. Once married, the relationship is as cold as the ice flows off Winterhold. She moves into the Dragonborn's home. Imagine her wandering the halls of Lakeview Manor, the grand estate built by the Dragonborn's own hand. She offers the standard spousal services. She opens a small shop, generating a paltry 100 gold a day, and will cook one meal daily. But her dialogue, her sweet nothings, are delivered with all the passion of someone reading a grocery list. "Hello, my love," she'll say, the words falling flat in the air. She is a living, breathing representation of a marriage of convenience, and as a follower, she is a liability. Mjoll Stonearm caps at level 25. This means that by the time the Dragonborn is level 30, their own wife is statistically useless in a fight. She will be crumpled by the first Draga Death Overlord or legendary dragon that looks her way. It's almost a cruel joke. The Dragonborn, clad in Daedric plate, wielding the very soul of a dragon as a weapon, must turn to their spouse and say, "My love, please stay here. The bandits on this road have slightly better than average iron armor, and I fear for your safety." Perhaps the most interesting thing about Ysolda is where she works, and the law she ignores. She trains in the shadow of the Skyforge. Here we find an obscure lore tidbit. While everyone knows the Skyforge is ancient, the in-game book, Songs of the Return Vol. 2 inches implies the forge was not built by Ysgramor. It was already there when the Nords arrived. The elves called it the Monadel or Mother Mountain, and they feared it. Ysgramor's smiths merely co-opted this ancient, perhaps divine, artifact. The companions and Ysolda live and work on a site of power that predates their entire civilization. A place of magic strong enough to forge the Skyforge steel that is legendary across Tamriel. Ysolda, however, seems utterly untouched by this magic. She has absorbed only the hardness of the rock, the cold of the steel, without any of the fire. The Dragonborn's marriage to her is a quiet, domestic tragedy. It's a relationship for the pragmatist, who only wants the lover's comfort bonus and doesn't care about the source. It's a home life built on a foundation of professional resentment and mild tolerance. She is the wife the Dragonborn deserves, if they value convenience over connection, a warm bed over a warm heart. She is the sigh at the end of a long day, the roommate who pays her small share of the rent and never, ever compliments the decor. And for that, for bringing the unique freezing energy of a DMV waiting room into the Dragonborn's heroic life, Ysolda Stonearm securely holds the 15th and final place on this list. The Dragonborn, perhaps chilled by the frosty reception in their own mead hall, decides to leave Jorvaskr. They pack their Daedric artifacts, saddle Shadowmere, or perhaps just borrow a horse from the Whiterun stables and travel north. They seek a different kind of life, a life of sophistication and culture. They travel to the grand imperial capital of Solitude, a city perched on a magnificent stone arch, overlooking the Sea of Ghosts. The air is filled with the cry of gulls and the faint, lilting music from the Bard's College. It is here in the bustling marketplace that the Dragonborn finds the glittering storefront of radiant raiment, and inside, they find the 14th entry on our list. Tari. If Ysolda was a wall of cold stone, Tari is a dagger of sharp, condescending ice. The Dragonborn, savior of the world, steps into the shop, perhaps still wearing the very same armor they used to slay Alduin. Tari, an Altmer, or high elf, with a gaze that could curdle milk, looks them up and down. Her first words are not a greeting, but an assessment and a condemnation. You are an affront to this city's beauty. She might criticize their armor, their robes, their very posture, My sister Endori and I, she'll say, her voice dripping with disdain, are trying to bring style and sophistication to this provincial wasteland. You are not helping. This is of course the core in-game fact about her. Tari and her sister Endori are the proprietors of the only high-end clothing store in Skyrim. They are high elves in a city that, while outwardly imperial, is also the main headquarters for the Thalmor. This positioning gives them a sense of superiority that is palpable. They are surrounded by Nords, whom they clearly view as uncouth barbarians, and they have cornered the market on finery for the Jarl's court. The Dragonborn, regardless of their accomplishments, is just another barbarian who smells of, well, dragon bones and crypt dust. To even get Tari to acknowledge their existence as anything other than a walking garbage pile, the Dragonborn must endure a quest that feels, frankly, a little humiliating. This is the quest, fit for a Jarl. Tari needs a favor. She wants to show off one of her new outfits to Jarl Elisif the Fair, but she needs a living mannequin to do it. The Dragonborn, the last hope of Tamriel, must agree to put on one of her flashy outfits, walk up to the Blue Palace, interrupt the Jarl's court, and pivot, showing off the fine stitching. It's a fetch quest, but the item being fetched is the Dragonborn's own dignity. Only after doing this, after proving they can gain the Jarl's attention and securing Tari's business interests, does her attitude thaw, and only then, while wearing the amulet of Mara, can the Dragonborn ask her to marry them. This is where the entire dynamic pivots, and where the fan community debate rages. The moment the Dragonborn proposes, Tari's Ice Queen persona melts into a puddle. "You're serious?" she stammers. "After all the terrible things I said to you?" "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Once married, she is, shockingly, one of the sweetest, most doting spouses in the game. She moves into the Dragonborn's home, and her dialogue is filled with fawning adoration. "My love, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad to be married to you, my darling. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." So, what is the truth? Is this a genuine change of heart? Did she, as some fans argue, use her snobbery as a defense mechanism, a way to protect herself in a hostile land, and the Dragonborn's kindness and willingness to help her despite her attitude broke through that armor? Is it a taming of the shrew narrative, where love conquers pride? Or is Tari the single most calculating gold digger in all of Tamriel? The alternate theory is far more compelling. Tari is a master social and financial climber. She treats the Dragonborn like dirt, until the exact moment they prove they have a personal connection to the Jarl. She suddenly realizes this provincial lout is in fact one of the most powerful and influential people in Skyrim. Her love is a business merger. She secures her safety, her social standing, and her financial future in one fell swoop by marrying the Dragonborn. This theory is bolstered by an obscure lore tidbit found not in a book, but in the game's data and cut content. The Radiant Raiment isn't just a simple shop. It was intended to be much more deeply entwined with the Thalmor. There are hints that Tari and Endori are not just arrogant Altmer, but Thalmor-aligned Altmer. They supply the Thalmor embassy with goods, and their snobbery is rooted in their political and racial supremacism. In this light, her marriage to the Dragonborn takes on a deeply sinister quality. If the Dragonborn is aligned with the Stormcloaks, she is a spy in their bed. If they are aligned with the Empire, she is a political opportunist, hedging her bets by marrying the single most powerful free agent on the continent. She is playing a game the Dragonborn isn't even aware of. Unlike Nejada, Tari is not a follower. She will never join the Dragonborn on an adventure. She is a merchant, and she remains one. She will, however, open up her personal inventory to the Dragonborn, allowing them access to the Radiant Raiment stock, and she will continue to run her shop, generating the standard 100 gold per day. This makes her, from a purely mechanical standpoint, slightly more useful than Nejada. Her shop is in a major city, easy to access, and she provides a place to sell loot. But the price is that initial, biting disdain. The Dragonborn must earn her basic respect through an act of service that borders on servitude. They must swallow their pride as Thane, as Harbinger, as Archmage, and become her errand runner. The marriage is built on a foundation of proven utility. Nida was cold, but her resentment was transparent. Tari's disdain is a weapon, and her love feels like a calculated truce. She is a fascinating character, a complex web of ambition, potential political intrigue, and saccharine sweet dialogue. But she is also a reminder that in the grand game of Skyrim, not all treasures are gold, and not all marriages are built on love. Some are built on a well-timed delivery for the Jarl, and for that reason, she sits just one step above the bottom, at rank 14. The Dragonborn, having grown weary of the biting aristocratic snobbery of solitude, and perhaps unsettlingly aware of the manufactured sweetness of their new spouse, Tari, feels the pull of the road again. They leave the clean, high arches of the capital, travelling southeast. They pass the grand mead halls of Whiterun, bypass the towering mountain of the throat of the world, and descend into the deep, autumnal valley of the Rift. They arrive in Riften. If solitude is the polished, imperial face of Skyrim, Riften is its gritty, beating heart, or perhaps some other, less savoury organ. The city is damp, the smell of the canals, the wood rot, and the nearby fishery hangs in the air. It is a city of shadows, ruled in all but name by the Blackbriar family and their shadowy partners, the Thieves' Guild. It is a city of pragmatists and survivors, and in the central marketplace, wedged between a fishmonger and an Argonian jeweler, the Dragonborn finds Grelka. She is the 13th entry on our list, and she is perhaps the most Riften-like character in all of Riften. Dressed in practical leather armor, she runs her stall with a brusque, no-nonsense efficiency. The Dragonborn, clad in legendary artifacts and still glowing with the amulet of Mara, approaches. Grelka doesn't even look up. "You need something," she barks. "Or do you just like standing around and looking stupid?" There is no pretense. There is no snobbery like Tari's. Tari looked down on the Dragonborn for being uncultured. Grelka looks at the Dragonborn and sees an obstacle, a waste of her time. Get what you want and get out. She'll snap, even if they're just browsing. She is, to put it simply, a jerk. She complains about the city, the guards, her customers, and her competition. Her dialogue is a constant stream of grievances. "Everything in this town is filth," she might mutter. Compared to the rest of Skyrim, Riften's a pigsty, and she treats the Dragonborn as just another piece of filth that has washed up at her stall. This brings us to the core in-game fact about Grelka, which makes her marriageability so baffling. If the Dragonborn joins the Thieves' Guild, a very common choice for players drawn to Riften's underbelly, their first real assignment is taking care of business. This quest requires the Dragonborn to act as the muscle for Brynjolf, shaking down the local merchants for their protection money. Grelka is on that list. The Dragonborn must approach her and demand the payment. She of course refuses. "You think you can just waltz in here and push me around?" she sneers. "You've got another thing coming." The Dragonborn is then forced to brawl with her, right there in the middle of the market. After being beaten to the ground, she pants. All right, I'll pay. Just get out of here. Now, let's paint this picture. The Dragonborn has, in full view of the public, physically assaulted this woman and extorted money from her for a criminal organization. A few weeks later, perhaps the Dragonborn, feeling a strange pull or maybe just a morbid curiosity, puts on the amulet of Mara and approaches her again. The dialogue option appears. "Interested in me, are you?" And Grelka, the woman they beat up for pocket change, says yes. "I am actually," she replies, almost catching herself off guard. Surprised, the entire fan community has been trying to unravel this for a decade. What is wrong with Grelka? The most popular fan theory is that Grelka is the ultimate pragmatist, embodying the very spirit of Riften. She lives in a world run by the Blackbriars and the Thieves Guild. To her, there is no good or bad. There is only strong and weak. There are predators, and there is prey. When the Dragonborn first arrives, they are just another stupid customer, potential prey. But when they return as an enforcer for the guild, and then especially as the Dragonborn, they have proven they are the apex predator of Skyrim. Her attraction isn't love. It's a cold, hard business calculation. She is merging with the most powerful entity in the city. It's the ultimate protection racket. Why pay the muscle when you can marry them? A darker, adjacent theory suggests it's a grim form of Stockholm Syndrome. She is so accustomed to the transactional, violent nature of Riften that she has come to associate power and intimidation with security, and therefore with attraction. The Dragonborn isn't a hero to her. They're the new boss, and she's smart enough to know that being the boss's spouse is a much safer position than being on their collection list. This is all reinforced by an obscure lore tidbit about Riften itself. As the Dragonborn explores the Ratway and the Ratway vaults, it becomes clear that the current city is built directly on top of a previous sunken and failed version of the settlement. The very foundations of the city are a dark, flooded maze of collapsed buildings and forgotten graves. Grelka, unlike the arrogant elves in Solitude, lives and works on a literal pile of failure. This environment has bred in her a profound cynicism. She doesn't believe in fairy tales. She doesn't believe in heroes. She believes in survival. Her marriage to the Dragonborn is just another survival tactic. Once married, Grelka is an improvement on Ysolda and Tari, if only for her sheer honesty. She doesn't have Tari's fake saccharine sweetness. Her love is just as blunt as her insults. "Hello, my love. Back from whatever it is you do," she'll say, not with adoration, but with a kind of mild professional curiosity. She is, in essence, a spouse who treats the marriage like a business partnership. She will, like the others, open a shop, generating that familiar 100 gold per day. She's a merchant. It's what she knows. She'll cook a daily meal. She provides the lover's comfort bonus. She is functionally a good wife. She is not, however, a follower. She will not join the Dragonborn on their adventures. Her place is at her stall. "Don't bother me when I'm working," she'll say, even if they are married. She has a business to run. This is a woman who, even when married to a demigod who could buy all of Skyrim, refuses to stop her grind. One has to respect the work ethic, if not the personality. Ultimately, Grelka is a deeply unromantic choice. She is for the Dragonborn, who has also become a cynic. The Dragonborn who understands that the world is a hard place, and that a partner is, above all, a partner. She is not a companion for a hero. She is a partner for a survivor. She is a living, breathing, complaining piece of Riften. She is an upgrade over Tari because she is not a liar. Her "I love you" is probably as genuine as her "you look stupid," and they both come from the same place. A heart hardened by the damp, unforgiving reality of the rift. For being brutally, transactionally honest, Grelka climbs one spot up to rank 13. The Dragonborn, having soured on the transactional nature of life in Riften, and perhaps still feeling the sting of Grelka's pragmatic insults, feels a pull towards something pure. They have experienced the cold resentment of a warrior in Mjoll, the calculated snobbery of an Altmer in Tari, and the brutal cynicism of a merchant in Grelka. They have sampled the worst of Tamriel's personalities. Now, they seek the opposite. They seek peace, piety, and perhaps a quiet room. Their journey takes them west, across the tundra of Whiterun, through the treacherous rocky passes of the Reach. They arrive in Markarth, the ancient city of stone. It is a place of breathtaking verticality and deep, simmering violence. A city built by the long-vanished Dwemer and now contested by the Nords, the imperial-backed Silver Blood family, and the native, fiercely rebellious Forsworn. The air is thick with the clang of smelters and the tension of a city perpetually on the brink of civil war. It is a strange place to seek peace. Yet the Dragonborn is drawn to the highest point in the city, a place of unexpected beauty carved into the rock, the Temple of Dibella. Inside, the air is warm, perfumed with incense, and filled with the soft, melodic chanting of the priestesses. This is a sanctuary of art, beauty, and love, a stark contrast to the cold, angular Dwemer architecture and the blood-soaked politics of the city below. And it is here, sweeping the stone floor with a quiet, meditative focus, that the Dragonborn finds Aela, the 12th entry on our list. Aela is a Breton, one of the many priestesses who dedicate their lives to the service of the Lady of Love. She is, in a word, quiet. She has almost no unique dialogue. When the Dragonborn first approaches, she is polite but distant, focused on her sacred duties. Dibella's blessing upon you, she might murmur, but she does not engage in conversation. She is the antithesis of the previous women on this list. She has no abrasive personality, no grand ambition, no biting wit. She is a vessel of piety, seemingly content to sweep the same patch of floor for eternity. To even get her attention, the Dragonborn must stumble into one of the temple's most private rites, a quest called the Heart of Dibella. The Dragonborn, perhaps looking for the temple's donation box, wanders into the inner sanctum. The priestesses are furious. This is a sacred space, and the Dragonborn has trespassed. To atone for this sin, they are given a task of immense importance. This is the core in-game fact. The temple's link to their goddess, the Sibyl of Dibella, has grown weak, and they have been searching for the next one. They have finally located her, a young girl named Fjocha, in a remote village. The Dragonborn is tasked with retrieving her. When they arrive, they find the village has been sacked by the Forsworn, and Fjocha has been taken captive. The quest for atonement becomes a rescue mission. The Dragonborn must storm a Forsworn fortress, cut a bloody swath through the native warriors, and save the terrified child. They return to the temple, not just as a trespasser, but as a hero. They have saved the future of the Dibellan faith in the Reach. The priestesses, including Aela, are overcome with gratitude. Their animosity is replaced with reverence, and it is only now, after this grand heroic act, that the Amulet of Mara, if worn, will trigger a response. The Dragonborn, fresh from rescuing a child from a cult of briar-hearted murderers, can approach the quiet, sweeping priestess and ask for her hand in marriage. And Aela, her voice soft, agrees. You've done so much for us, she says. You've proven your heart. Yes, I will. This, of course, has been a source of massive community debate for years. Why is a priestess of Dibella, a woman sworn to a goddess and living a monastic life, suddenly available for marriage? It seems like a profound contradiction, a blatant oversight by the developers, but the fan theories dig much deeper. The simplest theory is, yes, it's just a game mechanic. Bethesda flagged all the named priestesses in the temple, Aela, Anwin, and Senna, as marriageable after the quest, and didn't consider the lore implications. But a more interesting theory suggests a profound misunderstanding of the Dibellan faith. We, in our world, associate priestess with vows of celibacy. But Dibella is the goddess of love and sensual pleasure, not just art and beauty. This is where an obscure lore tidbit comes into play. While the faith in Skyrim is presented as rather tame, hints across the series suggest a more adult aspect. Haelga's bunkhouse in Riften, for example, is a place of ill repute, yet Haelga is a devout follower of Dibella, keeping a shrine and copies of the lusty Argonian maid. She even prays to Dibella for business. In the game Daggerfall, temples to Dibella were explicitly places where one could pay for services of a carnal nature. The priestesses were not cloistered nuns, they were sacred courtesans, teaching the arts of love as a form of divine worship. In this light, Aela's marriage is not a betrayal of her faith, but perhaps its ultimate expression. She is joining with the Dragonborn, the literal champion of her goddess, in a union of both spirit and flesh. Another, more personal theory suggests it's about Aela herself. She is a quiet, simple woman. She has lived her entire life in the stone confines of Markarth, sweeping floors and chanting. Her world was small. Then the Dragonborn enters, a figure from legend, a whirlwind of violence and power, and saves her faith. Her devotion, previously directed at an abstract goddess, now has a living, breathing focal point. It's not a cold calculation like Grelka's. It's a genuine, awestruck transfer of devotion. When married, Aela is a balm for the soul. She moves into the Dragonborn's home, and she brings the temple's peace with her. She is unfailingly sweet, but in a gentle, unassuming way. "It's a fine day with you around," she'll say. "May Debella bless your journeys, my love." She is the vanilla spouse. She has no dark past, no ambition, no conflict. She is simply nice. She will cook a daily meal. She will open the standard shop. What is she selling? Sweeping lessons, blessed trinkets. It's never clear. She provides the lover's comfort bonus, and that is all. She is not a follower. She will never pick up a sword. The Dragonborn cannot ask her to come on an adventure. She is a civilian, a priestess, a true non-combatant. After a long day of delving into Nordic ruins and absorbing dragon souls, the Dragonborn returns home to Aela. She is there. She is smiling. The house is probably very clean. This marriage is the first on our list that is genuinely pleasant. It's a relationship of peace. It's for the Dragonborn who is tired of the world's noise and just wants a partner who is kind and supportive. But that is all it is. Aela has no agency of her own. Her entire personality is pious and nice. She is a sanctuary but not a partner in adventure. She is a wonderful, calming presence, but she is ultimately a passive one. For being a truly good, gentle, and uncomplicated spouse, she rises above the open hostility of the bottom three, but her lack of any real depth leaves her at rank 12. The Dragonborn, perhaps finding the quiet piety of the Debellan temple to be, in a word, boring, leaves the stone city of Markarth. The life of a spouse to a quiet priestess is peaceful, but peace is not what forged a Dragonborn. They feel the pull of the beginning. They travel back across the province, their boots worn, their legend now preceding them in every hold. They return to the village where their adventure truly began, the first place that offered them a bed after the chaos of Helgen. They arrive in Riverwood, the small, peaceful-looking village, nestled in the shadow of the mountains, is as they remember it. The mill is turning, the river is flowing, and the air is thick with the smell of pine and the distant sound of a bard's lute. The Dragonborn, wearing the amulet of Mara, pushes open the door to the Riverwood trader, and there, behind the counter, is Camilla Valerius, the 11th entry on our list. Camilla is on the surface the quintessential girl next door of Skyrim. She's an imperial sister to the shop's proprietor, Lucan Valerius. She's pretty, she's pleasant, and she's famously the object of affection for two of the town's bachelors, Sven, the foppish, lazy Nordbard, and Fandel, the Bosmer or Wood Elf archer. This is of course the core in-game fact about her. She is the center of Riverwood's infamous love triangle. When the Dragonborn first arrives in town, they are almost immediately accosted by one of the two men, who will try to enlist them in a remarkably petty scheme. This quest, a lovely letter, is a masterclass in provincial drama. Both Sven and Fandel, in their infinite romantic wisdom, have decided the best way to win Camilla's heart is to frame the other guy. They each give the Dragonborn a forged letter, supposedly from their rival, which is filled with insulting and dismissive comments about Camilla. The Dragonborn is asked to deliver this proof of the other's perfidy. The Dragonborn has a few options. They can side with Sven, delivering his fake letter and turning Camilla against Falandel. They can side with Falandel, doing the same to Sven, or, in the only move that feels remotely heroic, they can go directly to Camilla and tell her the truth. Both of these idiots are trying to manipulate you. Regardless of the choice, Camilla becomes impressed. If the Dragonborn tells the truth, she is grateful for their honesty and disgusted with her suitors. If the Dragonborn lies for one of them, she is also grateful and falls for the lie completely, shunning the other. This in itself is a bit of a red flag about her judgment, but the key is that this, combined with the Dragonborn's other main quest in Riverwood, retrieving the Golden Claw from Bleak Falls Barrow for her brother Lucan, makes her available for marriage. The Dragonborn, now a world-famous hero, perhaps feeling nostalgic, flashes the amulet of Mara, and Camilla, the small-town shop girl, enthusively accepts. "I'm surprised," she'll say, "but very happy. Yes, I'll marry you." This is where the fan community has endlessly debated her motives. Is this a fairy tale romance? Did the Dragonborn, by solving the Golden Claw mystery, prove themselves a dashing hero far superior to the local oafs? Or is Camilla the most pragmatic opportunist in the village? The opportunist theory is very popular. She's stuck in a dead-end town, her brother is overbearing, her romantic options are a weak-willed bard and an obsessive archer. Then, a charismatic, capable, and clearly powerful adventurer, who it will soon be known, eats dragon souls, walks in, solves her brother's biggest problem in an afternoon, and then shows interest. Of course she says yes. It's not just a marriage, it's an escape. It's her one-way ticket out of Riverwood and into a life of adventure, or at least into a much, much bigger house. This brings us to the single most famous and infamous aspect of marrying Camilla Valerius. The Dragonborn, thinking they have won the girl and settled the love triangle, takes their new bride home. They travel to their grand estate, perhaps Lakeview Manor, with its stunning view and multiple wings, and a few days later, there is a knock. The Dragonborn opens the door, and Fandel is there, or Sven, or, sometimes, both. They just walk in. They will stand in the Dragonborn's dining room, or by the fire, just watching. They will still offer their original greetings. "So you're the one who helped me win Camilla's heart," Fandel might say to the Dragonborn's wife, while standing in the Dragonborn's house. This bug, or perhaps this terrifyingly intentional feature, means that the Dragonborn doesn't just marry Camilla, they marry her brother Lucan, who will also sometimes visit, and her two eternal creepy stalkers. The love triangle is never resolved, it just moves. This adds a layer of dark humor to the entire affair. The Dragonborn must live with the knowledge that, no matter where they go, no matter how many dragons they slay, Fandel is probably on his way to their house to stare at their wife. This has led to countless fan theories that Camilla is secretly in on it, or that Fandel and Sven are cursed, bound by some Daedric prince of awkwardness to eternally pursue her. Perhaps Camilla's role was always meant to be this. Complicated, an obscure lore tidbit lies in the very quest item she's associated with, the Golden Claw. It's the key to Bleak Falls Barrow, the first major dungeon. The claw itself, with its rotating rings of bear, moth, and owl, is a classic Nordic puzzle lock. These animal totems are not just random symbols, they are remnants of the ancient animistic Nordic religion that predated the arrival of the modern 8 or 9 divines. The Nords used to worship animal gods, the hawk, the wolf, the snake, and so on. The Dragonborn's first real delve into the ancient magical past of Skyrim is facilitated by Camilla and Lucan, two Imperials who seem to have no understanding of the artifact's true significance. They just see it as a solid gold payday. Camilla, then, is the unwitting gatekeeper to the Dragonborn's destiny. As a spouse, Camilla is perfectly standard. She is sweet, with classic doting dialogue. "Hello, my love. It's so good to see you back." She will open a shop, generating the 100 gold. She will cook the daily meal. She provides the lover's comfort bonus. She is, crucially, not a follower. She is a civilian, and she will remain one. Her entire character is defined by her role in Riverwood, and she never truly escapes it, even when she physically leaves. She is ranked at 11, a step above Aela, because she has a personality. She is at the center of a genuine, if petty, human drama. But she is ranked this low because of the baggage. That baggage has a name, and it's Fandel, and Svendel, and Svendel. For the marriage is a buy one, get two stalkers free deal. For the Dragonborn who wants a simple girl next door, they get that, but they also get the two weird neighbors who won't stop peeking over the fence. The Dragonborn, finding their new home life in Riverwood, crowded, decides that this is not the peace they were looking for. The constant, looming presence of Fandel, who seems to have an uncanny ability to find Lakeview Manor, no matter how remote it is, has grown thin. They are the Dragonborn. They have slain dragons, plundered tombs, and altered the course of a civil war. They should not have to worry about their wife's ex-suitor lurking in their alchemy tower. They need a change. They need to get away from people, from their petty dramas and their obsessive affections. They need mountains. They saddle their horse and ride east, toward the rift, but aim higher, for the pass that leads to the throat of the world. They arrive in Ivarstead. This town is a thoroughfare for the devout. It is the last stop, the final place of rest, before pilgrims begin the legendary 7,000 steps to the monastery of High Hrothgar. The air is clear, the sound of the river is constant, and the town's entire existence is dedicated to this quiet, spiritual purpose. The Dragonborn, seeking a simpler, less complicated partnership, heads to the local lumber mill, a large, water-powered operation run by one Temba Widearm. She is the 10th entry on our list, and she is a woman of singular burning focus. The Dragonborn, Amulet of Mara glowing, approaches her. She is a Nord, hardy, and strong, but she is not in a good mood. In fact, she seems to be in a perpetually foul mood. This town is a pigsty, she might snap, echoing Grelka, but her ire isn't for the guards, or the pilgrims, or the local bard. Her rage is focused. It's the bears, she shouts, with a wildness in her eyes. They're a menace. They're scaring off my workers. They're ruining my business. She looks at the Dragonborn, this legendary hero, clad in armor, made from the bones of her town's namesake, and sees not a savior, but a potential exterminator. This is the core in-game fact about Temba. Her entire personality revolves around a deep, pathological hatred of bears. To even get her to consider marriage, the Dragonborn must first appease this hatred. She gives them the quest, Chop Down. This quest, despite its name, involves no woodcutting. It involves hunting. Temba wants 10 bear pelts. Not one to prove a point. Not two for a new rug. 10. She is asking the Dragonborn to commit a small-scale localized genocide against the bear population of the Rift. The Dragonborn, who has little else to do on a Tuesday, shrugs and wanders into the woods. After a bloody afternoon of slaughtering cave bears, snow bears and regular bears, they return, their pack heavy and smelling of musk. They dump the 10 damp heavy pelts at her feet. Temba looks at the pile, then at the Dragonborn. She is satisfied, barely. Good, she grunts. That's a start. Her reward is a random leveled piece of armor, almost always worse than what the Dragonborn is already wearing. But the true reward for the lonely hero is that her disposition has changed. The Amulet of Mara now works. The Dragonborn, perhaps admiring her single-minded passion, proposes, and Temba accepts. "You're serious?" she asks. "Well, I'll be. Yes, I will." And just like that, the Dragonborn is married. This, of course, has been the source of endless fan community debate. First, there's the name, Temba Widearm. For any fan of 1990s science fiction, this name is a massive, blinking neon sign. In Star Trek: The Next Generation, the famous episode Darmok features an alien race who speaks only in metaphor, their most famous line being "Timber, his arms wide." The Skyrim community has been split for over a decade. Is this a deliberate, nerdy Easter egg from the developers, a loving nod to a piece of classic sci-fi, or is it a staggering coincidence? Given the game's other references, from Star Wars to Monty Python, the smart money is on the Easter egg. The Dragonborn, savior of the world, has just married a living Star Trek meme. The second, more pressing debate is what is her deal with the bears? The game offers zero explanation. This void has been filled with countless fan theories. But the most common and tragic theory is that a bear killed her family. Perhaps her husband or her parents were mauled, and she moved to Ivarstead, starting this mill as a front for her one-woman war against all things Ursine. She is an Ursine-focused Batman, and the Dragonborn has just become her Alfred, or perhaps her Robin, supplying her with the tools, pelts of her trade. A more practical and boring theory is that bears are legitimately bad for business, clawing at the logs or scaring workers. But her passion, her rage, it feels personal. The Dragonborn hasn't just married a miller, they've married a vendetta. What makes Temba's obsession so fascinating is her location. This brings us to an obscure lore tidbit. Temba lives and works at the very base of the 7,000 steps. This is one of the most sacred sites in Tamriel. The path is not just a long staircase, it's a history lesson. Etched onto 10 massive stone tablets, called the Emblems of the Greybeards, is the entire story of the Dragon War, the fall of the dragon cult, and the founding of the Way of the Voice by Ergen Windcaller. Pilgrims travel from every corner of the continent to walk this path, to read these emblems, and to meditate on the nature of the Thu'um and mankind's relationship with the gods. It is a place of profound spiritual importance, and Temba could not care less. She lives at the epicenter of this divine history, and her only concern is the bears, dragons, gods, civil war. It's all just background noise to the very real, very furry problem she faces every day. As a spouse, she is a significant step up from the bottom of the list. She's grumpy, yes, but she's not cold. She has a fire in her. Once married, she moves into the Dragonborn's home. She opens her shop, generating the standard 100 gold. She cooks the daily meal. Her dialogue is still gruff, but it's now affectionately gruff. "Hello, my love. Don't worry, I'll keep the bears away." The Dragonborn's home is now officially a no-bear zone. She will never join the Dragonborn as a follower, which is perhaps for the best. She would undoubtedly charge off a cliff in pursuit of a distant bear, ignoring the dragon attacking from above. She is ranked at 10 because she has a real, tangible, and wonderfully bizarre personality. She is not a nice spouse, nor is she a mean one. She is an obsessed one. The marriage is not built on love, or social climbing, or pragmatic cynicism. It's built on a shared understanding. Bears are terrible. For the Dragonborn, who is tired of the complex emotions of people like Camilla, or the biting snobbery of Tari, Temba is a breath of fresh mountain air. Her world is simple. Her purpose is clear. She is a woman of conviction, and for that, she is a worthy, if deeply eccentric, partner. The Dragonborn, having secured their home against the regional bear population, finds themselves in Ivarstead, a town of pilgrims. But the Dragonborn is not a pilgrim. They are a warrior, a mage, a thief, and a spouse, and their marriage to Temba Wide Arm, while stable, is built entirely on a shared, or at least enabled, psychosis about bears. It's a solid foundation, certainly, but perhaps not a romantic one. The Dragonborn looks at the 7,000 steps, tips their helmet to the Greybeards, and decides to walk in the other direction. They follow the river north, into the steaming, sulphurous tundra of Eastmarch. They are not seeking a city, nor a mead hall. They are, perhaps, seeking a genuine connection, something that doesn't involve a business transaction, a manipulation, or an extermination quest. Their travels lead them to a small, unassuming, and frankly bleak encampment on the banks of the Darkwater River. This is Darkwater Crossing. It is not a town. It is not even a village. It is a few tents, a campfire, and the yawning maw of a mine. The air smells of sulfur from the nearby hot springs, and the wet rock being pulled from the earth. The people here are not adventurers, or priests, or nobles. They are workers, covered in the grime of their trade, their faces set with the grim determination of those who earn their bread through manual labor. And among them, swinging a pickaxe with a steady practiced rhythm, is Sylja. She is the 9th entry on our list, and she is the first truly uncomplicatedly sweet person the Dragonborn has had the option to marry. The Dragonborn, this godlike figure, approaches her. The amulet of Mara feels almost foolish here, a piece of high fantasy frippery in a place of such stark reality. But Sylja notices. She stops her work, wiping her brow. She is a Nord like Temba, but her eyes hold no rage, only a kind of weary kindness. She is, despite the Dragonborn's intimidating presence, polite. "Hello, traveler, come to see the mine?" she asks. When the Dragonborn perhaps awkwardly gestures to their amulet and asks if she's interested, her reaction is not scorn or calculation or bloodlust. It's sad. She is lonely. She explains that she is interested, yes, but her heart is heavy. She works day in and day out at this hard, thankless job. Her only family, her parents, live in Ivarstead. This is the core in-game fact. Sylja's parents are Annika Cragjumper and Verna Rockchucker, 2 miners who live in the very town the Dragonborn just left. Because of the bears, Temba wasn't wrong. The wolves, and the general state of chaos in Skyrim. The road is too dangerous for her to travel. She has a package, a satchel of letters and gifts that she desperately wants to send to them. She also has a package from them that she needs retrieved. She's not asking the Dragonborn to kill a dragon. She's not asking them to plunder a tomb. She's asking them to be a postman. This quest, Special Delivery, is one of the most mundane and humanizing in the entire game. The Dragonborn, who can fast travel across the continent by shouting at the sky, must agree to this simple, domestic errand. They take the satchel from Sylja and backtrack, traveling all the way back to Ivarstead. They find her father, Verna, who is as gentle as she is. He hands over a return package. But it's her mother, Annika Cragjumper, who is the real surprise. She is not a simple miner. She's an adventurer, a Nord warrior in full armor, who upon speaking to her, becomes available as a follower. She's a tough, capable woman, who spends her days exploring ruins for fun when she's not working. The Dragonborn returns to Darkwater Crossing, packages in hand. Sylja is overjoyed, her gratitude genuine and overwhelming. You've done this for me. You're the kindest person I've ever met in my life. And now the amulet of Mara works as intended. The proposal is met with an enthusiastic, heartfelt yes. This is where the fan community has had a long, gentle debate. What is the point of Sylja? The primary theory is that she is the realism wife. She represents the common person of Skyrim. Her problems are not about the end of the world. They're about being lonely and missing her parents. Her romance is a slice of life, a quiet interlude in the Dragonborn's epic. A more compelling theory, however, is that Sylja is far smarter than she lets on. She's a young woman, alone in a rough mining camp, full of hard-bitten men, a heavily armed, terrifyingly powerful stranger. The Dragonborn walks up wearing a "let's get married" amulet. She's not going to just fall for it. The quest isn't a quest. It's a test. It's a test of character. She is not testing the Dragonborn's strength. A fool can see they are strong. She is testing their kindness. Will this demigod bother with a simple, unheroic, unprofitable errand for a poor miner? By doing so, the Dragonborn proves they are not just a force of nature, but a good person. They earn her trust in the most meaningful way possible. The mine she works in provides an obscure lore tidbit. Darkwater Crossing is a corundum mine. In Skyrim's crafting system, corundum is a vital, if humble, resource. It's the and in iron and corundum. When melted together, they create steel. Steel is the backbone of the Imperial Legion, the standard for every city guard, the material that arms the entire province. Sylja, covered in grime, is not just digging rocks. She is mining the very sinews of war and civilization. She is a blue-collar hero, a more vital cog in the machine of Skyrim than most of the nobles in Solitude. Once married, Sylja is a pure, unadulterated delight. She moves into the Dragonborn's home, and she is grateful. "I can't believe I'm living here," she'll say, awestruck. It's a dream come true. Her dialogue is all about how much she loves the Dragonborn and how happy she is. She has no stalkers looking at you, Camilla. She has no obsessions. Goodbye, Temba. She has no ulterior motives. She is just happy. She opens the shop. She cooks the meal. She provides the lover's comfort bonus. So why is she only at rank 9? 2 reasons. The first is a massive missed opportunity. Her mother is Aniki Cragjumper, a certified armor-wearing badass. The game teases the Dragonborn with the idea of a family of adventurers. Yet, Sylja is not a follower. She will never join the Dragonborn. She is, and will always be, a civilian. The second reason is a bug, a famous, sad, and slightly hilarious bug. Often Sylja's AI will glitch. The Dragonborn will return to their lavish, beautifully decorated home and find Sylja in her dirty mining clothes, swinging her pickaxe at the floor. She will mine the wooden planks of the dining room or the stone floor of the alchemy lab for hours. It's as if the game itself refuses to let her escape her past. "My love," the Dragonborn must say. "That is a rare hand-carved table from the Jarl's own carpenter. Please stop trying to extract corundum from it." She is a wonderful, sweet, and loving spouse, but one who is sadly non-combatant and may, at any time, attempt to quarry the bedroom furniture. The Dragonborn, after some time, finds that living with a partner who may spontaneously attempt to quarry their hardwood floors is a unique kind of domestic stress. The sweetness of Sylja is undeniable, but the clink 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 of a pickaxe on expensive stone masonry at 3 in the morning is enough to test the patience of a saint, let alone a dragon-slaying hero. They pack their belongings, leaving a kind note and perhaps a helmet for protection against ceiling-based mining, and set out once more. They travel east, leaving the warm, sulfuric springs of East March behind. They push into the coldest, harshest hold in Skyrim, the Pale. Their destination is the ancient, blood-soaked capital of Windhelm. If Riften was a city of damp cynicism, Windhelm is a city of cold, brittle hate. It is the seat of Ulfric Stormcloak, the heart of the rebellion, and a place of open, agonizing segregation. The Dragonborn enters the great gates and is immediately confronted with the Grey Quarter, the city's Dunmer slum. But their journey takes them further, outside the city's towering stone walls, down to the freezing, windswept docks. Here, in the shadow of the great city, lives a population even lower on the social ladder than the Dark Elves. This is the Argonian assemblage, a damp, squalid bunkhouse where the city's Argonian dockworkers are forced to live. The air smells of salt, frozen fish, and the bitter, racial resentment of the local Nords, who can often be heard drunkenly threatening to skin the beast folk. It is here, working at a tanning rack in the biting coastal wind, that the Dragonborn find Shahvee. She is the 8th entry on our list, and she is a beacon of light in the darkest city in Skyrim. She toils at her work, her scales likely dull from the cold, yet she does not complain. She does not have the abrasive anger of Grelka or the bare-focused rage of Temba. When the Dragonborn approaches, she is polite. She is wary, as any sane person would be in her position, but she is not unkind. The Dragonborn, wearing the amulet of Mara, finds that the dialogue option to propose does not appear. Like Sylja, Shahvee has a problem, but it is not one of loneliness. It is one of theft. She explains that a group of bandits ambushed her. They beat her, mocked her, and stole everything she had. But she is not asking for revenge. She is not asking the Dragonborn to slaughter them. She is asking for one specific item back, her amulet of Zenithar. Zenithar, the divine of work and commerce, is her patron. The amulet, she explains, is sacred to her. It's a symbol of her faith. And then, she says the line that defines her character, "I pray for them, you know. I pray that they find the light." The Dragonborn, perhaps stunned by this display of absolute incomprehensible forgiveness, agrees to find the amulet. This task sends them to a nearby bandit-filled cave, perhaps Stony Creek Cave. The Dragonborn, who is not nearly as forgiving as Shahvee, enters the cave and does what they do best. They clear the den of thieves and murderers, retrieve the amulet from the boss's chest, and return to the docks. When they present the amulet to Shahvee, she is overwhelmed with joy, not because her property is back, but because her faith is validated. "Zenithar has answered my prayers," she exclaims. "You see, the light always finds a way." It is only now, after the Dragonborn has acted as the literal hand of her god, that she considers them a friend. And only now does the Amulet of Mara trigger a response. When the Dragonborn proposes, her reaction is one of pure disbelieving joy.
You would want to marry me?"
"A lowly Argonian," she stammers. My scales grow warm at the thought. "Yes, my love, yes." This is, of course, the core in-game fact about her. Shahvee is the only female Argonian in all of Skyrim that the Dragonborn can marry. She is the sole representative for her entire gender and race in the game's romance pool. This lack of options for the beast races has been a long-standing complaint in the community, making Shahvee an incredibly important and precious character for players who want a less human partner. Her personality has been the source of a major community debate. Why is she so relentlessly optimistic? She lives in a racist hellscape, works a menial job for racist employers, was just the victim of a violent hate crime, and her response is to pray for her attackers. The simple theory is that she is just a genuinely good, pious person. She is the Tamrielic equivalent of a saint, and her faith in Zenithar is so absolute that it makes her immune to the world's hatred. A far more interesting and complex fan theory, however, ties into her race. Shahvee is an Argonian, a lizard folk from the impenetrable swamps of Black Marsh. Argonians are not like the other races. They are born from, and inextricably tied to, the Hist, a sentient, hive-mind forest of trees. According to this theory, Shahvee's optimism is not a human emotion. It is a form of alien detachment. Her connection to the Hist, however faint this far from home, gives her a perspective that borders on the cosmic. This life in Windhelm, this cold, this racism, this lowly job, it is temporary. It is an illusion. Her true life is with the Hist. Her forgiveness for the bandits isn't a moral choice. It's that they are, in the grand cosmic scale of the Hist, completely and totally irrelevant. She pities them, not for their souls, but for their ignorance. This is made even more potent by an obscure lore tidbit about the Argonians. While Shahvee appears gentle, her people are, quite literally, one of the most terrifying military forces on Nairn. During the Oblivion Crisis, when the Daedric hordes of Mehrunes Dagon poured into Tamriel, every other province buckled, but in Black Marsh, the Hist trees recalled all Argonians, and according to legend, supercharged them. The Argonians didn't just defend their borders, they invaded Oblivion. They poured into the Daedric gates with such ferocity that the Dremora, the shock troops of hell, were forced to close their own gates to keep the lizard folk out. Shahvee, this gentle, forgiving Hide-Tanner, is a descendant of the people who invaded hell. This adds a profound, tragic irony to her station. She is a lioness, forced to live as a house cat. As a spouse, Shahvee is a wellspring of kindness. She is, like Silja, deeply grateful for her new life. She moves into the Dragonborn's home with pure wonder. I never dreamed I would be so warm, she'll say. Her pet names are unique and adorable. My love, my light. She offers the standard spousal package, the 100 gold a day shop, the home-cooked meal, and the lover's comfort bonus. Like the others before her, she is not a follower. She will not join the Dragonborn on their adventures. This is, perhaps, the greatest missed opportunity. The Dragonborn has married a member of the race that beat the Daedra, and she cannot be asked to come along to clear out a simple bandit camp. She is ranked at 8, a significant step above Silja. While their in-game functions are identical, Shahvee's character is infinitely more profound. Silja's kindness was born of a simple, lonely life. Shahvee's kindness is an act of spiritual warfare, a profound daily choice to shine a light in the absolute bleakest, coldest, and most hateful corner of the entire province. The Dragonborn, their home in Windhelm, now a sanctuary of warmth and kindness, finds that the relentless saint-like optimism of Shahvee is a lot. It is a goodness that feels almost alien, a forgiveness they cannot, as a dragon-souled warrior, fully comprehend. Shahvee prays for her enemies. The Dragonborn absorbs their souls. There is a fundamental disconnect. They find themselves craving the grit, the grime, the moral ambiguity of people. They are drawn back, as if by an invisible thread, to the city of grey areas, the city of stone and blood. They return to Markarth. They are not here for the piety of Debella's temple this time. They are not here for the Jarl's court. They walk the lower streets, past the smelter, past the whispers of forsworn agents and silver blood mercenaries. They are looking for something different. Their journey leads them to a small, cluttered shop tucked under the stone overhangs, a place that smells of dried herbs, strange chemicals, and something ancient. This is the Hag's Cure, and behind the counter, working as an assistant to the ancient, crusty proprietor Botherla, is Muiri. She is the 7th entry on our list, and she represents the first spouse on this journey who is not just flawed, but potentially, unforgivably dark. Muiri is a Breton, young and quite beautiful, but she is drowning in a visible miasma of sadness and rage. She is quiet, but unlike Aula's peaceful piety, Muiri's quiet is a coiled spring. She is a social pariah, and the Dragonborn, being an outsider, is one of the few people in the city who doesn't immediately treat her with contempt. But the Dragonborn does not learn her story by striking up a friendly chat. They do not get a simple fetch quest. The path to Muiri's heart is not through kindness, or feats of strength, or even by being a postman. The path to Muiri's heart is through a contract from the Dark Brotherhood. This is the core in-game fact. Muiri is a client of the most feared organization in Tamriel. The Dragonborn, having joined the assassins of the Dark Brotherhood, is given a list of assignments. One of them comes from a young apothecary in Markarth. Muiri has performed the Black Sacrament. She has chanted, sweet mother, send your child unto me, for the sins of the unworthy must be baptized in blood and fear." And the Dragonborn is the child who has been sent. They meet her, and she lays out her story. It is a tale of profound personal betrayal. She was once friends with a charismatic man named Alain de Font, a charming rogue who was, in secret, the leader of a ruthless bandit gang. He used Muiri. He manipulated her, feigned affection, and got her to confide in him about her job at the Hag's Cure and her access to the Shattershield family, one of the most powerful clans in Windhelm. Using her information, Alain's crew robbed the Shattershields, and in the chaos their daughter Nilsine was killed. Or in some tellings, Nilsine's twin sister Frigga was killed, and Nilsine later died of grief. The point is, the Shattershield family was shattered, and they blamed Muiri. The entire city turned on her. Tova Shattershield, the matriarch, spits at her in the street. She is alone, betrayed by her love, and abandoned by her friends. She wants revenge. Her contract has two parts. The first part is simple: kill Alain Dufont, find him in his Dwemer ruin hideout, and end him. The Dragonborn, as a professional, nods. This is justice, in a dark, bloody sort of way. But then, Muiri leans in. She has an optional request, a bonus payment. She also wants the Dragonborn to kill Nilsine Shattershield, the surviving sister. Nilsine's crime. When the city turned on Muiri, Nilsine believed them. She didn't stand up for her friend. For this sin of non-support, Muiri wants her murdered in cold blood. This is the central, chilling debate in the fan community. Is Muiri a tragic victim or a cold-blooded sociopath? The victim theory posits that she is a young woman broken by trauma. She was groomed, used, and then became the scapegoat for a horrific tragedy. Her desire to kill Alain is righteous fury. Her desire to kill Nilsine is a lashing out, a desperate, irrational act of pain from someone who has lost everything. But the sociopath theory is far colder. It argues that, while her anger at Alain is justified, the calculated, cold-blooded addition of Nilsine to the hit list is monstrous. Nilsine is also a victim, mourning her sister. Muiri doesn't just want revenge, she wants to erase her problem. She is using the Dark Brotherhood as a tool for social cleansing. To marry Muiri, the Dragonborn must do it. They must travel to Roldfar, cut through Alain's bandits, and put a blade in his heart. Then, they must travel all the way to Windhelm, find the grieving, innocent Nilsine Shattershield as she wanders the cold streets, and assassinate her. After this, Tova Shattershield, having lost both her daughters, will kill herself. Muiri's contract results in the complete destruction of the family. The Dragonborn, their hands stained with the blood of 2, or arguably 3, people, returns to Markarth. Muiri is ecstatic. She is overjoyed. You did it. She beams. He's dead, and Nilsine, when the Dragonborn confirms the deed, she is overcome with gratitude. And now, the Amulet of Mara option appears. The Dragonborn, a killer for hire, proposes to his client, and she accepts with fawning, breathless adoration. Here, you're the only one who's ever stood up for me. You're my hero. Yes, 1,000 times yes. This brings us to an obscure lore tidbit. Muiri is not just a simple shop girl. She works for Botherla at the Hag's Cure. Botherla is not just a cranky old lady. The game hints she is far, far older than she looks, with rumors stating she served the current Jarl's grandfather. She is a hag. In Elder Scrolls lore, this term is often synonymous with witch. Botherla is almost certainly a practitioner of old pre-imperial magic, a hedge witch of considerable power. Muiri is her apprentice. This isn't just a job, it's an education. Muiri's immediate turn to the Black Sacrament, a dark ritual, makes perfect sense. She is already steeped in a world of practical, and likely dark, magic. As a spouse, Muiri is, ironically, one of the sweetest in the game. Her dialogue is dripping with adoration. My love, my hero, I'm so glad you're mine. She has all the standard spousal benefits. She opens a shop, or rather continues to work at Botherla's, giving the Dragonborn the profits, cooks the daily meal, and provides the lover's comfort bonus. But every sweet word is poisoned. Every time she calls the Dragonborn hero, they both know that heroism was a double homicide. She is not a follower. She will not join the Dragonborn. She is, after all, a civilian. But she is a civilian who knows how to call the darkness. She is ranked at 7, far above the others, because she is interesting. She is a moral vortex. The marriage is not a simple, happy affair. It is a partnership forged in blood, a bond between a killer and a client. It's a relationship for a Dragonborn who has fully embraced their dark side, who believes that love and murder can, and perhaps should, walk hand in hand. The Dragonborn, their life in Markarth now hopelessly entangled with the dark contracts of assassins, and the blood-soaked gratitude of their new wife, Muiri, finds the stone city to be suffocating. Every sweet word from Muiri is a reminder of the innocent blood they spilled to earn it. It is a partnership, yes, but one founded on a shared sin. They need air, they need a different kind of honor, a code that, while harsh, is at least honest about its brutality. They are still in the Reach, a land defined by hard rock and harder traditions, and nestled in the mountains to the northwest of Markarth. There is another kind of tradition, one forged not in stone, but in iron and blood. They travel to the orc stronghold of Mor Khazgur. The Dragonborn approaches the gates. An outsider, an outlander. The stronghold is a self-sufficient, heavily fortified marvel of orcish engineering. It is a place of animal hides, roaring forges, and warriors clad in the distinct heavy plate of their people. The air smells of coal smoke and roasted meat. The orcs here are not nice. They are gruff, suspicious, and bound by a code that is alien to the rest of Skyrim. And it is here, in the stronghold's training yard, that the Dragonborn sees her, Borgak the Steelheart. She is the 6th entry on our list, and she is a warrior, trapped by her own bloodline. Borgak is in full orcish armor, her tusked face set in a grim expression as she slams her axe against a training dummy. She is the very picture of an orc warrior, strong, skilled, and intimidating. But when the Dragonborn speaks to her, there is a layer of deep, simmering frustration beneath the gruff exterior. She is not a simple soldier. This is the core in-game fact. Borgak is the daughter of the stronghold's chief, Chief Larak, and in Orcish society, this is not a privilege. It's a prison. By the strict, unyielding code of Malakath that governs the strongholds, the daughter of a chief is not a person. She is a political asset. She is a piece of property, to be married off to the chief of another stronghold to forge an alliance, secure a trade route, or simply to be gone. Her entire future is to be a broodmare for a rival chief, a man she has never met. Her skill with an axe, her steel heart, her identity as a warrior, all of it is irrelevant. Her duty is to her blood, and her bloodline demands this sacrifice, and she hates it. The men get to have all the glory. She might grumble, I'm as strong as any of them, but I'm a chief's daughter, so I get to be a prize. The Dragonborn, perhaps seeing a kindred spirit of a warrior, trapped by destiny, approaches, the amulet of Mara glowing. Borgak scoffs at it. An amulet of Mara. You're an outlander. You know nothing of our ways. The amulet is useless. But there is another way. The Dragonborn can appeal to her directly. They can ask her to leave, to join them. But tradition binds her. Or the Dragonborn can use the tradition against itself. They can go to her father, Chief Larik, and pay her dowry. They can, in the cold, hard, transactional language the orcs understand, buy her. The Dragonborn, their pockets heavy with dragon gold and Daedric loot, walks up to the chief and offers him a pile of gold. Larik is shocked, but he is also a pragmatist. This is a blood price. The outlander is, in effect, compensating the stronghold for the loss of a valuable asset. Larik accepts the gold. It's done, he grunts. She's yours. She's no longer bound to this stronghold. Borgar approaches, her mind reeling. You paid my dowry. You freed me. She is no longer the daughter of Mor Khazgur. She is now, by her code, beholden to the Dragonborn. And now, the amulet of Mara works. The Dragonborn proposes. Her acceptance is not the fawning glee of Muiri or the disbelieving gratitude of Shahvee. It is a warrior's oath. You have shown me a path I never knew existed, she says, her voice thick with emotion. To be your wife, to be your shield, it is an honor. My axe is yours. My life is yours. This is, naturally, the source of a massive fan community debate. Is this a heroic act of liberation? Did the Dragonborn in a single act of generosity, shatter a misogynistic tradition, and free a powerful woman to live the life she craved? Or is this just a different kind of slavery? The darker theory posits that the Dragonborn didn't break the system, they just won it by its own rules. Borgak was her father's property, and now she is the Dragonborn's property. She has swapped one chief for another. Her devotion isn't love, it's a life debt. She is not a wife in the modern sense. She is a shield wife, a warrior bound by gold and an ancient code to serve her new owner. The Dragonborn is not a liberator. They are just a much wealthier orc chief. This is all tied to the obscure lore tidbit of Malakath himself, the Daedric prince of the orcs. Malakath is the god of the spurned, the ostracized, the outcasts. He was once the Aldmiri god Trinimac, but he was devoured by Boethia and excreted as the being he is now. His entire existence is one of humiliation and rage. His code is brutal because the world is brutal, and he demands his people be strong enough to withstand it. He despises weakness. In this light, Borgak's desire to be a warrior, to live a life of strength, is arguably more in line with the true spirit of Malakath than the political traditions Leric is upholding. Leric's tradition is a form of weakness, a bartering of flesh. Borgak's passion is strength. The Dragonborn, by buying her, may have unwittingly fulfilled the true will of Malakath, elevating strength over all else. As a spouse, Borgak is a game changer. She is the first on this list who is a true dedicated partner in all facets of the Dragonborn's life. She moves into their home and provides the standard shop, meal and lover's comfort bonus, but her true value is on the battlefield. Borgak is a follower, and she is a tank. She is proficient in heavy armor, one-handed, block, and archery. She will wade into a brawl with a giant, her axe flashing, drawing aggro, while the Dragonborn rains down destruction. Her level cap is a respectable 30, meaning she remains viable for a large portion of the game. Her dialogue is a perfect blend of spousal affection and warrior's respect. It is good to see you, my love. The stronghold. Well, it is nothing compared to our life together. She is not a fawning servant or a bitter cynic. She is a partner. She is a peer. She is for the Dragonborn, who doesn't just want a lover's comfort bonus, but who wants someone to watch their back when a Dragon Death Overlord uses disarm. She is ranked at 6 because she is the first on this list to fulfill the promise of a true shield wife, a partner in both love and war. The Dragonborn, their life now intertwined with the rigid, honorable code of the orcs, finds comfort in the strength of their new wife, Borgak. She is a shield, a partner, a life bound to theirs by gold and iron. But a code, any code, is a cage. Borgak's devotion, while absolute, is born of a life debt. She serves the Dragonborn because they are her new chief. And the Dragonborn, well, the Dragonborn is many things. An honorable chief is not always at the top of the list. They are also, perhaps, the listener of the Dark Brotherhood, the guild master of the thieves, a worshipper of the more interesting Daedric princes. They crave a partner who doesn't just tolerate their darkness, but celebrates it. They need a partner who sees murder not as a grim necessity, but as an art form. They leave the remote, smoky stronghold of Mor Khazgur. They travel back to the center of the world, to the city that started it all, Whiterun, but they are not going to Jorvaskra. They have had quite enough of the companions and their boisterous, mead-swilling honor. They are not going to the marketplace. They have had their fill of merchants. They go to the city's other establishment for warriors, the one that is perpetually dark, quiet, and smells of old wood and secrets. They push open the door to the drunken huntsman, and there, sitting at a table in the shadows, as if she has been waiting for them all this time, is Janassa. She is the 5th entry on our list, and she is the patron saint of a morally grey playthrough. Janassa is a Dunmer, a dark elf, with the pale skin and red, knowing eyes of her people. She is clad in a set of worn leather armor, and she watches the Dragonborn enter with an unnerving, predatory stillness. She is not a brash warrior like Nijada, or a boisterous one like Borgarth. She is a shadow. This is the core in-game fact. Janassa is a mercenary, a blade for hire, and she can be employed for a flat fee of 500 septims. She is by far the easiest and cheapest follower to acquire early in the game, and arguably the best. When the Dragonborn approaches her, her voice is a low, smoky rasp, a perfect ASMR trigger in itself. She does not boast of her strength. She states her philosophy: I am a shadow, a blade in the dark. I am for hire, if you have the coin. She explains her worldview. The city is a cage. I grow restless. I prefer the open sky, the thrill of the stalk, the scent of blood on the wind. She is in essence a cat, a very, very stabby cat. The Dragonborn, intrigued, pays the 500 gold. It is the best investment they will ever make. They go adventuring, and this is where Janassa shines. She is a ranger class, proficient in light armor, one-handed, and archery. But her true gift is that she is one of the very few followers in the game who will naturally dual-wield if given two one-handed weapons. She is a dervish of death. While Lydia is tanking a blow to the face, Janassa is flanking the enemy, a blur of steel, her blades sinking into the weak points in Adraga's armor. But it's her commentary that sells the experience. She loves her job. When the Dragonborn fells a powerful enemy, she doesn't offer a bland well done. She'll purr, a fine kill, your blade is sharp. When she finishes an opponent, she'll sigh with what can only be described as post-murder bliss. Such a beautiful kill. She will comment on the beauty of a dwarven ruin, not for its architecture, but for its perfect stillness, a fitting tomb. She is the goth girlfriend of Skyrim, and she is perfect. The Dragonborn, their amulet of Mara glowing, approaches her. Perhaps they are in a dark crypt, the bodies of the undead piled around them. They ask the question, and Janassa's acceptance is everything. It is not fawning, like Muiri's. It is not a life debt, like Borgak's. It is a meeting of minds. You are a kindred spirit, she'll say. Your darkness, it matches mine. We will be a shadow to stalk the night together. Yes, I will be your wife. It is not a marriage. It is an alliance of apex predators. This, of course, is where the fan community debate begins. What is Janassa's backstory? The game provides absolutely nothing. She has no personal quest, no family, no history. She is a blank, blood-soaked slate. The most popular and compelling fan theory is that Janassa is a refugee from the Morag Tong. The Morag Tong, as opposed to the Dark Brotherhood's void-worshipping death cult, was the legally sanctioned, government-approved guild of assassins from Morrowind. Their murders were honorable executions, performed in the name of the Daedric prince Mephala. They were not psychos, they were artists, and murder was their craft. With the eruption of Red Mountain, the Argonian invasion, and the general collapse of Dunmer society, the Morag Tong was shattered. This theory posits that Janassa is one of the last of her kind, a master assassin now adrift in a land of barbarians. She is forced to sell her art as common mercenary work. This explains her professionalism, her lack of sadism. She is not cruel, just incredibly efficient, and her almost religious reverence for a fine kill. She is a concert violinist forced to play in a tavern for scraps. And in the Dragonborn, she has finally found someone who appreciates her music. This theory is beautifully supported by an obscure lore tidbit, one that ties her directly to her supposed patron, Mephala, the Daedric prince of lies, sex, and secret murder. Mephala is known as the Whispering Lady, or the Spider. Her entire purpose is to interfere in mortal affairs, to pull the strings, to create drama through whispers and violence. Janassa's own dialogue constantly echoes this theme. We are a shadow. We are a whisper in the dark. A fine kill. She is perhaps a devout follower of Mephala, and her marriage to the Dragonborn is in her eyes a sacred act. She has bound herself to the most chaotic, powerful, and murderous entity on the continent. She is not just a wife, she is a high priestess in a coven of two. As a spouse, Janassa is a dream. She is one of the few followers who will continue to follow you after marriage. She does not see marriage as a retirement, she sees it as a promotion. She will move into the Dragonborn's home, and she will bring her unique, dark sensibilities with her. She provides the standard shop, the daily meal, and the lover's comfort bonus. But her spousal dialogue is what sets her apart. The Dragonborn returns home, weary from a day of, say, political negotiations for the civil war. Janassa will greet them. "Welcome home, my love. The house is fine, but I confess, I prefer the scent of blood on the wind. Shall we go hunting soon?" She is the ultimate enabler. If the Dragonborn is the listener of the Dark Brotherhood, Janassa is the employee of the month. She will never judge the Dragonborn for their dark deeds. She will, in all likelihood, be disappointed they didn't take her with them. She is a true ride-or-die partner. Emphasis on the die. She is ranked at 5 because she is a complete package. She is a top-tier combat follower with a level cap of 40, making her useful for most of the game. She has a unique, unwavering personality. She is the perfect companion for any Dragonborn who walks in the shadows. She is not a project to be fixed, a victim to be saved, or a political asset to be bought. She is a fellow monster, and in the cold, dark world of Skyrim, that is, perhaps, the truest form of love. The Dragonborn, their life now a shared shadow with Janassa, finds the constant, quiet thrill of their blood-soaked partnership to be fulfilling. But even a shadow needs a place to rest, and even an assassin needs a business manager. The Dragonborn has power, they have strength, but they are, in many ways, an economic disaster. They have a mountain of gold, yes, but it sits in a chest, gathering dust. They have artifacts that could fund a small war, but they are stored on a mannequin. They need a partner who understands the other kind of power. The power of coin, of supply and demand, of ambition. They need someone who sees Skyrim not just as a battlefield, but as a marketplace. And for that, there is only one place to go. They return once again to the economic heart of the province, the city of the Skyforge. They walk into the bustling central market of Whiterun, and there, walking the stalls with a clipboard and a keen eye, is Ysolda. She is the 4th entry on our list, and she is the very soul of ambition. Ysolda is a young Nord woman, dressed in simple, practical clothes, but she carries herself with an air of purpose that bolsters her station. She is not a merchant, yet she is an apprentice, a student of the game, learning from the other vendors, talking to the caravan masters, and dreaming of the day she can afford her own stall. She is, unlike almost everyone else the Dragonborn meets, unfailingly polite, professional, and looking for an angle. When the Dragonborn, this towering figure of legend, approaches, she doesn't see a hero, she sees a resource. This is the core in-game fact about her. Ysolda wants to be a merchant, and her business plan is specific. She wants to trade with the Khajiit. She explains that the Khajiit caravans are the key to real wealth. They bring goods from all across Tamriel, exotic things that the Nords will pay a premium for. But to get in with them, she needs to prove she's a serious partner. She needs capital. She needs a mammoth tusk. She asks the Dragonborn, a person who literally eats the souls of dragons, to act as her supplier and fetch her a single mammoth tusk. It's a simple, pragmatic, business-first fetch quest. The Dragonborn, who likely has a dozen tusks in their bag of holding from a single afternoon's walk on the tundra, simply hands one over. Ysolda is ecstatic, but it's not the emotional gratitude of Silja. It's the sharp, bright thrill of an entrepreneur who has just secured their first round of funding. "This is perfect," she says. "This will show them I'm serious. Thank you." By this single act of investment, the Dragonborn has proven their worth to her. And now, The amulet of Mara works. The Dragonborn proposes. Ysolda's acceptance is a masterclass in ambitious networking. "You're interested in me?" she asks, as if running the numbers in her head. "I am, as well. We would make a fine pair. Think of the opportunities. Think of the money we could make. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. It is not a merger of hearts. It is a merger of assets. The Dragonborn has the raw power, and Ysolda has the business plan. But this is where the fan community has, for a decade, been pointing to a much, much darker truth. Ysolda is not just a plucky, ambitious girl boss. Ysolda is a budding drug lord. The evidence is overwhelming. First, her chosen partners, the Khajiit. While they trade in many goods, they are the main source for one of Tamriel's most illicit substances, moon sugar, the raw ingredient for skooma. Ysolda's exotic goods are almost certainly narcotics. Second, the quest A Night to Remember. The Dragonborn wakes from a drunken blackout with the Daedric Prince Sanguine. In retracing their steps, they find Ysolda, who is furious. Not because the Dragonborn was drunk, but because they made a bad business deal. "You bought a ring from me," she'll snap, on credit, "said you were going to marry a Hagravin. You still owe me 2,000 gold. This shows she's a no-nonsense lender who is apparently comfortable trafficking in magic rings for Hagravin marriages. But the final, undeniable proof comes from a random encounter after that quest. The Dragonborn can find a local skooma addict named Ulag, who is despairing because his supply has been cut off. And who does he name as his supplier? Ysolda. She said she'd have more of the sleeping tree sap for me. And now, nothing. Ysolda is not just trading moon sugar, she is the Whiterun distributor for sleeping tree sap, one of the most potent and dangerous narcotics in Skyrim. This completely recontextualizes the marriage. The fan theory is not a theory, it's a conclusion. Ysolda is a criminal mastermind in the making. Her marriage to the Dragonborn is the single greatest acquisition of her career. She is not just marrying a hero, she is marrying the Thane of Whiterun. She is marrying the personal friend of the Jarl. She is marrying the single most powerful and legally untouchable person in the hold. She hasn't just found a partner, she has acquired total permanent immunity for her growing criminal empire. And what an empire it is. This brings us to an obscure lore tidbit about her chosen product, sleeping tree sap. The Dragonborn can find its source at the Sleeping Tree Camp, a bizarre location with a single massive glowing purple tree. A book, Mystery of the Sleeping Tree, explains that no one knows where it came from. The leading theory is that a meteor crashed there, but this was no meteor. It's widely believed to be a piece of Umbriel, the floating island city from the Daedric realm of Clavicus Vile, which terrorized Tamriel during the events of the Infernal City novels. Ysolda is not just a drug dealer. She is, unwittingly or not, dealing in a substance that is literally Daedric. It is an otherworldly narcotic. As a spouse, Ysolda is a model of polite, capitalistic efficiency. She moves into the Dragonborn's home, which she no doubt immediately appraises. She opens her shop, generating the 100 gold, a number that is laughably low, as it's clearly her on the book's front. She cooks the daily meal. Her spousal dialogue is sweet, but it's the sweetness of a business partner. "Hello, my love. It's good to see you. I was just thinking of all the money we're making." She is not a follower. She will never join the Dragonborn. She is a businesswoman and a criminal mastermind. She cannot be seen running around a crypt. She has a ledger to cook. She is ranked at number 4, above the pure warrior spouses, because she represents a different, and perhaps truer, form of power. The Dragonborn may have the power of the Thuum, but Ysolda has the power of the supply chain. Together, they are a true power couple. She is the perfect wife for a Dragonborn who has come to realize that the real way to conquer Skyrim is not with a sword, but with a monopoly. The Dragonborn. Their life in Whiterun Now, a curious mix of high adventure and high-stakes narcotics trafficking finds their partnership with Ysolda to be efficient. It is a marriage of spreadsheets and supply chains. When the Dragonborn returns home to Breezehome, or perhaps the grander Tundra homestead, Ysolda greets them with a smile, tells them about the profits, and offers a home-cooked meal. It is stable, it is profitable, but it is, perhaps, a little cold. It is a corporation with spousal benefits, and the Dragonborn, whose soul is a roaring bonfire of mythical power, might find themselves missing a different kind of warmth. They miss the loyalty that isn't tied to a ledger. They miss the simple, uncomplicated days of just being a hero, before they were also a CEO, an assassin, and a guild master. They miss the beginning, and in Whiterun, the beginning is always just a few steps away. They walk up the stone path, past the giant, dead-looking Gildergreen tree, and push open the great wooden doors of Dragon's Reach. The Jarl's Hall is as they remember it. The central fire pit, the murmur of the court, the sound of wind whistling through the high rafters. And there, sitting at a table, or perhaps leaning against a pillar with a look of profound, dutiful boredom, is Lydia. She is the third entry on this list. She is, for nearly every player, the original. She is the first true partner the Dragonborn is given. This is her core in-game fact. Lydia is not met in a tavern, or a crypt, or a shop. She is bestowed. After the Dragonborn slays Myrmulnir, the first dragon to attack the Western Watchtower, they are summoned by Jarl Bulgruuf, the Greater. He proclaims them Thane of Whiterun, an ancient, honourable title, and as Thane, they are granted a personal retainer, a warrior to serve as their shield and sword. The Jarl gestures, and Lydia stands, clad in her default, heavy steel armour. She walks over and gives her oath. "I am your sword, and your shield," she says, her voice a deep, flat monotone. And then the line that launched 1,000 memes, the line that would define her existence. "I am sworn to carry your burdens." And what burdens they are. The Dragonborn, a pathological kleptomaniac, immediately sees her not as a fellow warrior, but as a walking storage chest. They dump 3 sets of captured bandit armor, a dozen iron swords, 42 cheese wheels, a collection of Dwemer scrap metal, and for some reason, a single skull, into her inventory. And Lydia just stands there. "Got it," she might say, her voice betraying not a single flicker of emotion. This is the central, unending community debate. What is Lydia's deal? Is she a loyal, stoic, professional Nord warrior whose flat effect is a sign of her military discipline? Or is she the most passive-aggressive, sarcastic person in all of Tamriel? The sarcastic Lydia theory is, by far, the most popular. It posits that this woman, a trained warrior, has been assigned to protect a lawless, sociopathic demigod who spends their time putting buckets on shopkeepers' heads. Her only recourse, her only defense against the sheer gibbering madness of her Thane, is a deep, abiding, weaponized sarcasm. When she says, "I am sworn to carry your burdens," she's not just talking about the dragon bones. She's talking about the emotional burden of watching the Dragonborn try to fuss Rodar a chicken off a cliff. When they enter a dark crypt, she'll sigh. "You lead, I'll follow. Try not to get us killed." It's not a statement of trust. It's a plea for basic competence. And then there's her special talent. Lydia is not just a housecarl. She is a master of interior decorating. Or rather, she is an obstacle
In any interior.
She will, with unerring supernatural precision, find the one doorway in the Dragonborn's house and stand in it. Just stand there. Forever. Blocking the path to the alchemy lab. Blocking the path to the bed. The Dragonborn, savior of the world, must spend 10 minutes nudging their own wife out of the way just to go to sleep. It's almost a protest. Despite this, or perhaps because of it, the Dragonborn, feeling nostalgic for this dysfunctional partnership, puts on the Amul of Mara. Lydia, Being a housecarl is one of the default marriage options. Her acceptance is just as iconic as her oath. I am your sword and your shield. I will guard you and our home with my life. But are you sure? I am not a not a delicate flower, you know. It's a rare moment of vulnerability. The Dragonborn confirms, and just like that, the first partner becomes the final one. As a wife, Lydia is exactly the same. She does not change. Jenassa sees marriage as a dark alliance. Ysolda sees it as a business merger. Lydia sees it as an extension of her duties. She will, like the others, open a shop. This is perhaps the most hilarious part of marrying her. This grim, heavy armor warrior, who has stood over the corpse of Alduin, will open a small general goods store. Had a few customers today, she'll say, in the same tone she'd use to report a bandit ambush. Made a little gold. She cooks the meal. She provides the lover's comfort bonus. But unlike Ysolda, Lydia is a warrior. She is a top-tier follower, one of the best in the game, with a level cap of 50. She is a master of heavy armor, one-handed, and block. She is a tank. She will charge a frost troll, shield raised, and hold the line while the Dragonborn does, well, whatever it is, the Dragonborn does. But even in combat, her AI is legendarily Lydia. She is a bloodhound for traps. She will find every pressure plate, every tripwire, every swinging axe hallway, and she will activate it, often sending the Dragonborn flying. But maybe we have her all wrong. Maybe the sarcasm is just our own projection. This is where an obscure lore tidbit recontextualizes her entire character. The in-game book of Fury and Holger tells the tragic story of a Nord warlord, Fury, and her housecarl, Holger. When Fury was wounded by a poison arrow, Holger carried her to a hidden tomb, searching for a cure. They were trapped. They could not find the cure, and they died there, together. Holger's ghost, when found, only cares about finding Fury's. The oath of a housecarl, it suggests, is not a job. It is not a bodyguard assignment. It is a life bond, a spiritual pact to serve, protect, and die with their Thane. When Lydia says, "I am sworn to carry your burdens," she isn't being sarcastic about the cheese wheels. She is making a profound spiritual statement. She is literally, by her ancient Nordic oath, bound to the Dragonborn's fate. She is carrying the burden of their soul. She is the one person who cannot leave, who cannot say no, who must follow this maniac into the literal jaws of oblivion, if asked. In this light, her flatness is not sarcasm. It is the stoicism of the truly damned. It is the grim, resigned acceptance of a woman who has been shackled to a demigod. Her love, if you can call it that, is not passion. It is duty taken to its absolute, theological extreme. She is ranked at number 3 because she is Skyrim. She is the most iconic, the most referenced, the most beloved and frustrating partner in the game. She is not a complex moral choice. She is not a business partner. She is loyalty in its purest, clumsiest, most door-blocking form. The Dragonborn, their life with Lydia, now a comfortable, if somewhat cramped, routine of door-nudging and stoic declarations of loyalty, finds themselves yearning for something more. Lydia's loyalty is an oath, a duty sworn in a Jarl's hall, bound by the ancient traditions of the housecarl. It is absolute, but it is not a choice. It is a function of her title, and the Dragonborn, whose entire existence is a rejection of fate, feels the pull of a different kind of partner, one whose loyalty is not a job, but a cause. They seek a partner of pure, unadulterated, uncomplicated virtue, a true hero, and in the entire province of Skyrim, there is only one city that makes heroes, if only by providing such a dark, stark background for them to shine against. The Dragonborn travels back to the damp, corrupt, cynical heart of the Rift. They return to Riften. They bypass the marketplace. Grelka is still there, sneering at customers. They ignore the rapway, the guild's shadows along. They walk past Haelga's bunkhouse, with its Dibellan devotions. They enter the Bee and Barb Tavern. The air is thick with the smell of spilled ale and suspicion, and in the common room, holding court, is Aela the Lioness. She is the second entry on our list, and she is a roaring, righteous bonfire in the middle of a swamp. She is a tall Nord, her face marked with red, sweeping paint that accentuates her warrior's spirit, and she is talking, loudly, to anyone who will listen. She is on a one-woman crusade, verbally dismantling the corruption that has seized her adopted city. This city is poison, she'll proclaim. The Thieves Guild and the Blackbriar family have a stranglehold on the good people here, and the Jarl does nothing. She is a fountain of pure, unadulterated, and somewhat naive virtue, and sitting next to her, listening with rapt, adoring attention, is a young imperial man named Aerin. This is the core in-game fact about Mjoll. She is a self-proclaimed champion of the people, but she is, at the moment, toothless. The Dragonborn, a fellow warrior, can speak to her. She will tell her story. She was an adventurer, a true hero, exploring the world, but her pride led her to a Dwemer ruin. Minzincha left. She was in over her head. Her party was killed, and she was cut down, left for dead. Her ancestral blade, Grimsever, lost in the depths. She was found, barely alive, by Aerin, who dragged her all the way back to Riften and nursed her back to health. Now, she is trapped. She has the will to fight, but she has lost her. Well, she's lost her sword, but more than that, she's lost her confidence. She sees the Dragonborn as a fellow adventurer. She laments her lost blade, explaining that without it she cannot continue her quest. The Dragonborn, of course, recognizes a quest prompt when they hear one. This is her test. She's not just asking for a weapon, she's asking for a partner in heroism. The Dragonborn, who has likely cleared Malzincha, left for a different quest already, or who simply finds Dwemer automatons to be a light afternoon's warm-up, travels to the ruin. They smash through the spiders, spheres, and Falmer, defeat the Centurion at the end, and retrieve Grimsever from the chest. They return to the Bee and Barb and present the sword. Malzes, reborn, you found it, she gasps. The lioness, she roars again. She is overcome with gratitude. The Dragonborn hasn't just returned a piece of equipment, they have restored her soul. They have proven, in this city of vipers, that another true hero exists. And now, the amulet of Mara works. When the Dragonborn proposes, her acceptance is a pact of equals. I would be honored, she declares. We will be a force for good Skyrim has not seen in an age. Yes, I will marry you. But what exactly did the Dragonborn retrieve? This is where an obscure lore tidbit casts a strange light on Mjoll's entire persona. She claims Grimsever is an ancestral blade, but it's a glass sword. In Skyrim, glass is a material and style associated almost exclusively with the elves, particularly the Altmer and Dunmer. It is not a Nordic weapon. Furthermore, it was found in a Dwemer ruin. This has led to a fascinating fan theory. Mjoll the Lioness is a complete fabrication. She's not from a long line of heroes. She's just a farm girl, or a common city dweller, who decided one day to become a hero. She's building her own legend, and Grimsever was just a cool magic-looking sword she found and adopted as her ancestral blade. Her entire identity is a self-mythology. When she lost it, she didn't just lose a weapon, she lost the primary prop for her entire character. The Dragonborn didn't just complete a quest, they validated her heroic narrative. And now, we must discuss the shadow in the room, or rather the Imperial in the room. Aerin, the loyal friend, the savior. When the Dragonborn marries Mjoll and she moves into their home, Aerin comes with her. He just moves in. He will stand in the Dragonborn's bedroom. He will sit at their table. He will watch them enchant their armor. He never ever leaves. This is perhaps the single greatest and most heated debate in the Skyrim spouse community. What is Erin's deal? Theory A. He is just a nice, lonely, platonic friend. He is in the friend zone of the gods. And he is just so grateful to Mjoll for giving his life purpose as her caretaker that he can't bear to be apart from her. He is a harmless, if deeply awkward, third wheel. Theory B. He is a full-blown obsessive nice guy stalker. He saved Mjoll, and in his mind, this entitles him to her forever. His constant presence is an act of possession. He is a passive-aggressive, creepy parasite who has attached himself to a woman far too virtuous to see the danger. Theory C. This is the darkest one. Arin is a handler. He is an agent, paid by Maven Blackbriar. Mjoll is the only person in Riften brave enough to speak out against the family. So what do? They can't kill her. She's a public hero, and that would make a martyr. No, they control her. This theory posits that Arin's rescue was staged. He is there 24/7 to ensure that Mjoll talks, but never acts. He feeds her ego, agrees with her moral outrage, and then subtly guides her away from any actual confrontation. This explains why, for all her roaring, the lioness never actually bites. This leads to the second major Mjoll debate, her hypocrisy. Mjoll hates the Thieves Guild. She will talk about it endlessly. I'll be happy when the Thieves Guild is nothing but a memory, she'll say. This becomes awkward when the Dragonborn is the guild master. The Dragonborn can literally walk into their home, clad in the full black and grey nightingale armor, empowered by the Daedric Prince Nocturnal, and Mjoll will not notice. It's a fine day, my love, she'll say. Still, this Thieves Guild is a plague. Her virtue is a mile wide and an inch deep. She is catastrophically, comically, unobservant. As a spouse, she is a powerhouse. She opens the shop. She cooks the meal. But most importantly, she is a follower, and she is one of the single best in the game. She is flagged as essential, which means she cannot die. The Dragonborn can shout her off a mountain. A giant can launch her into the stratosphere, and she will just get up, dust herself off and say, "We must be careful, my love." She is an immortal, two-handed, heavy armor-wearing tank who will charge into any fight with righteous fury. She is the perfect hero wife. She is noble, she is strong, she is immortal, and she is pure of heart. But she is ranked at 2, not 1, because of the price. The price is Erin, and the price is a partner who, for all her talk of virtue, is fundamentally living in a different reality. She is in love with the idea of the Dragonborn, the hero who returned her sword, and is completely, willfully blind to the kleptomaniacal, Daedro-worshipping, assassin guild master reality of the person she married. The Dragonborn, their life in Riften, now a strange, three-person sitcom of virtuous pronouncements and awkward, silent dinners with Erin, finds that Mjol's brand of heroism is loud. It is a performance. It is a thing to be declared in a tavern, a bright, shining, and ultimately simple-minded shield held up against a world she refuses to understand. Her loyalty is to a concept of good, a concept the Dragonborn, in their travels through the grey shadows of Tamriel, knows to be a luxury. The Dragonborn's soul is not simple. It is a chaotic, primal, ancient thing. It is the soul of a Dover. It does not crave the civilized, naive virtue of Mjoll, nor the sarcastic, door-blocking duty of Lydia. It craves a peer. It craves the wild. And so, for the final time, the Dragonborn returns to Whiterun. They walk past the market, past Ysolda's network of spies and skooma runners. They walk past Dragon's Reach, past Lydia's vacant chair. They walk down the stone steps to the ancient, boat-shaped hall of Jorvaskur. They push open the heavy wooden doors. The air is thick with the smell of mead and wood smoke, but beneath it, there is another scent. It is metallic. It is musky. It is the smell of blood. And there, by the fire, sharpening a blade, is Aela the Huntress. She is the first and final entry on our list. She is, in every way that matters, the ultimate spouse. Aela is the antithesis of Najada Stonearm, the woman who started this list in this very hall. Where Najada is a wall of cold, bitter stone, Aela is a blaze of primal fire. She is clad in her unique, almost prehistoric ancient Nord armor. Her face is marked with the blue woad of a hunter. She is not just a warrior, she is a predator. She is the huntress, the living, breathing embodiment of the wild, savage spirit that the companions were founded upon. She does not just fight, she hunts. This is the core in-game fact about her. Aela is a member of the Circle, the elite leadership of the companions. But more than that, she is a proud, devout, and unapologetic werewolf. When the Dragonborn first seeks to join the guild, she is the one who watches them, who tests them, and when it is time for the Dragonborn to prove their loyalty, it is Aela who leads them to the Underforge, the secret, ancient cave beneath the Skyforge. It is she who offers them the beast blood, the gift of the Daedric Prince Hircine. She does not see it as a curse. She sees it as a blessing. This is our secret, she'll say, her voice a low, excited rasp. This is the true blood of the companions. To marry Aela, the Dragonborn cannot simply do her a favor. They cannot fetch a sword or deliver a letter. They must bleed with her. They must become a lycanthrope. They must join her in the ritual, feel the rage and the power as their bones crack and reform. And then, they must hunt with her. The entire companion's questline is, in essence, Aela's romance arc. The Dragonborn hunts the Silver Hand, the werewolf hunters who are her sworn enemies. They hunt with her, and when the guild's patriarch, Codlac Whitemane, is ambushed and killed by the hunters, it is Aela, in her grief and rage, who leads the Dragonborn on a quest of pure, unadulterated vengeance. They storm the Silver Hand's fortress, wiping them out to the last man. The bond is forged in blood, moonlight, and a shared, savage grief. After this, after the Dragonborn has become the harbinger of the companions and helped to cure Codlac's soul, a decision Aela is visibly ambivalent about, then the Amulet of Mara works. When the Dragonborn proposes, her acceptance is not a transaction or a swoon. It is a pact. It is a mating. "I do," she says, her voice low. "We are of the same blood, the same pack. Our life will be a glorious, endless hunt." This, of course, is the source of endless fan debate. Why is Aela so devoted to the beast blood when the wise old leader, Codlac, wanted it cured? The most compelling theory is that Aela is the true heir to the companion's legacy. She is a spiritual descendant, not of the civilized companions, but of Ysgramor's original Savage 500. She is a follower of Hircine, the Daedric Prince of the Hunt. She sees Codlac's desire for a cure as a form of weakness, a betrayal of their true nature. She believes that to be a companion is to be a predator. This leads to the second debate. Why will Aela marry a cured Dragonborn? If the Dragonborn chooses to cure their own lycanthropy, Aela will still marry them. This seems like a contradiction, but the best fan theory argues it's not. Aela respects one thing: strength. She is an apex predator. At first, she sees the beast blood as the ultimate expression of that strength. But the Dragonborn eats dragon souls. They are, by their very nature, the apex predator of all of Tamriel. In this light, Aela's attraction is not just to the werewolf, it is to the Dova. The Dragonborn's soul is a purer, more ancient, and more powerful predatory spirit than any wolf's. Cured or not, the Dragonborn is the ultimate alpha, and her bond is to that power, not just the fur. This is all deepened by an obscure lore tidbit concerning Hircine's hunting grounds. Hircine is Aela's god. When a werewolf dies, their soul does not go to Sovngarde, the Nordic heaven. It goes to Hircine's personal plane of oblivion, the hunting grounds, a realm of eternal savage sport. Kodlak sought a cure so his soul could go to Sovngarde. Aela rejects Sovngarde. She has made a conscious, theological choice to pledge her immortal soul to the Daedric Prince of the Hunt. Her devotion is absolute. As a spouse, Aela is the complete package. She is a top-tier follower with a level cap of 50. She is a master of archery and an expert-level trainer, light armor, and sneak. She is a silent, lethal ranger who will pick off enemies from a shadow, and then, if they get close, draw her daggers and fight with a wolf's ferocity. She, of course, opens the shop. What is she selling? Furs, arrows. It's a hilarious concession to the game's mechanics. She will cook the daily meal, but she will also continue to be a full-time follower. Her spousal dialogue is perfect. "Hello, my love. Back from a hunt? The city is fine, I suppose, but I prefer the wilds. The clean air, the scent of blood." She is Janassa, but without the cold, detached artistry. Aela's hunt is one of passion, of life, of raw, primal joy. She is the perfect partner for a dragonborn who has embraced their own wild, untamable nature. She is not a liability. She is not a project. She is not a business partner. She is a mate, and for that, for being the one true, equal, and savage partner for the Dragonborn, Aela the Huntress is, without question, the #1 wife in Skyrim. And so, our long chronicle of love, marriage, and poor life choices in the Fourth Era comes to a close. From the cold, resentful sneer of Nada Stonearm to the primal, bloody pact with Aela the Huntress, the Dragonborn's search for companionship is a journey as vast and as strange as the land of Skyrim itself. The heart, it seems, can be won with a kind word, a delivered package, a business investment, or, in some cases, a double homicide. The hearths are warm in the homesteads of the Dragonborn, and the fires are lit. Whether they are returning to a home filled with the gentle alien piety of Shahvee, or the passive-aggressive door-blocking of Lydia, or the constant, awkward presence of Aaron, they return as a hero and as a spouse. The world is saved, but the laundry still needs to be done. Now, the night has grown deep. The tales are told, and the candles are burning low. The time for adventure is over, and the time for rest has come. Let the lessons of these strange, complicated unions settle in your mind, like soft snow on the roofs of Whiterun. Whatever burdens you carry, it is time to set them down. Dim the last of the lights, listen to the quiet of your own home, and let the peace of the evening envelop you.